Hey everyone, welcome to my Plants vs. Zombies 2 3 plants at a time challenge. A lot of people ask me why I would do this to myself, and it's because Crazy Dave will erase me from the timeline if I don't. But what exactly does this challenge mean? Basically, I can only have 3 plants on the lawn at any given time, so if I already have 3 and want to place a new plant, one will have to be eaten or shoveled to make room. There are a lot of ways to trivialize this, so Crazy Dave won't let me level up, use boosts, glitches, or anything that requires coins like power-ups or buying plant food. I can't use any real-life coins either and buy gemium or premium plants. There's a bunch of other little stuff, but to sum it up for the sake of brevity, I'll be playing this game as if it's not a mobile game. And I'll be doing this challenge on the most recent update, 10.0.2. I'm going to be mostly focusing on levels that are particularly noteworthy for their difficulty, since a majority of them aren't actually that bad. But first, let's talk about what mechanics, plants, and strategies make that the case. Our amazing strategy for the first 5 levels in ancient Egypt is to literally not do anything. And I'm not kidding. For some reason, lawnmowers infinitely respawn in these levels. You might think I'd have to make an exception to my no power-ups rule on day 2, since the objective is to survive using power-ups, but as usual, the objective is just to survive, so you still win even if you don't use a power-up. The game unfortunately forces you to buy an extra plant food on day 3, so I'll have to make my one exception for that rule, and on that note, you have to level up a pea shooter once or we'll be eternally trapped in a never-ending purgatory. Just don't tell Crazy Dave about this. Penny, what are you doing here? Day 6 not respawning lawnmowers means we'll have to put a little effort into beating it. We'll finally start using our main strategy for this world, spamming cabbage pult plant food. Even if our pea shooter is level 2, cabbage pult is better in every way that matters. Just the plant food thing really, that's the main part. Pea shooter's plant food kinda sucks since it functionally only clears one lane sometimes. Cabbage pult on the other leaf does 200 damage to every zombie on screen. That's enough to kill basics and do a good chunk of damage to others, leaving some special zombie types in this world low enough to finish with a couple of hits from any attacking plant. Lobbing shots are also better here since I don't typically keep plants on the field long enough for them to kill graves. Overall, an A tier plant for this challenge. But of course, we don't have unlimited plant food, so we'll be starting most levels by placing plants that counter a specific lane. Basics can be killed with cabbage pult, camel zombies can be countered with a single bloomerang, that is their only purpose. Anything stronger will usually be killed with a potato mine. If we need to support a lane but we already have 3 plants down, we'll have to shovel one to make room. Potato Mine will be another crucial plant in this challenge. He'll be an auto-include in basically every level. He's an extremely cheap and effective way to kill almost any zombie type. And even though his main use in ancient Egypt is to kill zombies with armor, he's also the perfect plant to start any level with. He can kill a basic zombie for 25 sun instead of placing down a cabbage pult for 75 more sun that I would have to shovel later anyway. Potato Mine exploding also means he won't be on the map anymore, opening up room for another plant to take its place, though it's usually just another potato mine. He's absolutely S tier in this challenge. Many early levels start with plants already on the lawn. What I'll do for these is not count them towards my plant total. This makes minigames and endangered plant levels possible in this challenge, since believe it or not, the game expects you to actually play it to win. As a result, many levels in ancient Egypt are even easier than they already are in this challenge. For the same reason, and a couple of other things, sunflowers are kind of mediocre in this challenge, for ancient Egypt at least. Not only do they take up one of our precious spots, we also don't use anything expensive enough to warrant keeping them most of the time. That's not to say they're useless though. It's usually most optimal to place at least one at the start of the level, especially since we almost always start levels with potato mines. This is the perfect time to talk about how waves of zombies get summoned in this game. I'm sure most of you are familiar with stalling the first zombie, but what exactly does this mean? Basically, killing enough zombies in a wave immediately triggers the next one, so if the first wave only contains one zombie, killing it will always advance to the next wave. This is crucial to how the game works, since not killing the first zombie means you have more time to collect sun from the sky, and produce sun from plants like sunflowers. But of course, if this was the only way waves progress, you could infinitely stall the first zombie and get unlimited sun to trivialize the rest of the level. To combat this, waves of zombies also progress after a short amount of time passes. This also means that we don't need to stall zombies with iceberg lettuce, and can instead place our potato mines far enough back where they explode during or right after the next wave spawns, so I can immediately place another one. As a reward for beating day 13, we unlock Bok Choy, who will be our best attacking plant for ancient Egypt, thanks to his melee attacks having a much higher DPS than ranged plants. We get him just in time for an endangered plant level where we lose if any of our sunflowers get eaten. They're far up enough where ranged plants won't be able to deal with waves quickly enough to protect them. Bok Choy is perfect for our shovel style of play here, where he can easily protect a lane that needs it by quickly killing basics. Zombies with toughness equal to or greater than a cone head need to be stalled with iceberg lettuce or walnuts for a single Bok Choy to kill them, but that's not too bad of a trade-off for us. Bok Choy's plant food isn't as versatile as cabbage bolts, but I needed it for day 18, which spams high health zombies quickly since it's a last stand level. The plant food deals enough damage to kill all of them in a 3x3 area, so he hits lanes above and below him as well to make the level possible. I'd say a B tier plant due to how often we have to shovel him and being outclassed by instant kill plants more often than not. Objectives are the biggest threat to this challenge since they force us to change our playstyle, with some interacting with this challenge in terrible ways, and none are worse than... Oh guys, you think we'll be able to beat this one? I think the run's over actually. I don't know. I don't know, this one seems kind of tough. Rip, I know. Oh boy. First impossible level, day 17 ancient Egypt. Ironically, levels with the objective to never have more than X amount of plants are the easiest, as the game balances the player having less plants than usual by having fewer zombies in the level. These also give us a way to determine exactly what counts as a plant for this challenge without any semantics, no matter how stupid I think some of what the game considers as an extra plant, as opposed to what most reasonable people would consider as an upgrade to a plant like in the first game. I'm sure this won't come back to bite us later. Day 8 Wild West. Wow, that was really bad fake coughing. I'm keeping it. This also means that Potato Mine's plant food is pretty bad since the copies count towards my plant total. We get 2 small passive upgrades in the latter half of this world. The first one is Plant Food Boost, which allows us to hold an extra plant food at a time. Although this isn't an amazing upgrade, we have to be extremely smart and deliberate with every single plant food we get on the actual difficult levels, so potentially holding on to an extra one can absolutely make a difference. The other upgrade is Sun Boost, which has us start levels with 75 sun instead of 50. Free sun is obviously amazing. It's basically a free potato mine for now, but starting with 75 sun will be an extremely important threshold for reasons we'll see pretty soon. But no upgrade is better than subscribing so you don't miss the next video. It has excellent synergy with liking and commenting. Day 20 is another endangered plant level where we have enough sunflowers to keep moving Bok Choys around. They aren't enough on their own, thanks again to endangered plant levels having bigger waves of zombies that can't be killed with lawnmowers, but Repeater can actually be used here to continuously defend a lane, even though his relatively high sun cost usually isn't worth the lower damage than Bok Choy. He actually does enough damage to solo cone heads and work with Bok Choy to clear crowded lanes, His range, and mostly just having a separate seed packet cooldown, help a lot here. Honestly, I wouldn't call any level we've seen so far that difficult, but day 24 is the first of many nightmare levels of the challenge. It's the last stand, so tough zombies will be spammed right away since we're supposed to already have a full on at the start of the level. But this time it's even worse, as Pharaoh zombies get summoned in most waves, and oftentimes in groups of 2 or 3. These zombies usually require a potato mine to make quick work of, as they're the zombie type with the most health in this world, excluding Gargantuars. Having multiple spawn at once with many other zombies we have to focus on complicates things a lot. But there's more bad news. Ambush zombies are ones that enter the lawn during sandstorms that happen in the middle of specific waves. Not only does this mean that we have yet more zombies to deal with, but I also don't want to think about the number of attempts I lost due to the lawnmower in that zombie's lane being used right before it was summoned. We have to route everything out perfectly if we want to win this one. This is a good time to mention another pivotal mechanic of this game, which will come in handy for all the levels I have to play hundreds of times like this one. Zombies always get summoned in the same lanes between attempts, so you can use this knowledge to plan out the perfect counter strategy. The only way to change this is to close and reopen the game. With that being said, let me walk you through this stupid puzzle solution. We start with the trick that will help for most last stand levels, where potato mines start their arm time right when being planted. Instead of waiting, immediately press Let's Rock to start the level. This may seem useless or even actively bad for us, but it stalls a cone head long enough for another one to be on the same tile right when the mine explodes, getting us a free and necessary bonus skill. Immediately after they explode, place a cabbage pole to deal with an explorer zombie, slow another one with an iceberg, and place another potato mine to kill yet another one. Since iceberg disappears on use, place a repeater to deal with the bottom one. Once that's dead, move it to the top lane and install a basic zombie with iceberg right away so you have it back soon. If you place it correctly once it's recharged, it will freeze the Pharaoh zombie instead, which you need it to do. Place a potato mine right in front of the middle mower, which may look weird since the basic will reach it before it arms, but wait until all sandstorm zombies are on screen and use cabbage pole's plant food to clear most zombies to save our lawnmowers for later. Place a repeater bottom to deal with the cone head and use another mine to stop the closest Pharaoh from reaching a lawnmower. Freeze the new closest Pharaoh and place a mine right in front of him to protect that lane. Our cabbage bolt served bravely, but it's time to shovel him and place a walnut to stall 2 Pharaohs in the middle lane. Stall bottom with an iceberg lettuce and place a mine middle while giving top lawnmower since we simply can't protect every lane here. Shovel the walnut so we can place it bottom. After the mine explodes, iceberg the Pharaoh in an open lane and then place another mine to stop the other one. After the repeater finally kills the bucket head, we don't need it anymore, so stall the new bucket head and place another walnut to line up 2 Pharaohs, 2 cone heads, and a bucket head to all die to a bok choy plant food. It's important to note the hurt box of the Pharaoh zombies are slanted to the left, so you have to place a bok choy on the same tile as a Pharaoh zombie to kill it. Place a mine top to protect it while stalling the bucket head the same way as before and using another walnut to stall yet another Pharaoh. Protect top with a mine again and intentionally give the lane below it to force the game to progress to the final flag since we killed enough zombies. Wait as long as you can until finally using the last plant food on iceberg to extinguish all explorer zombies as flames and buy you extra time to let all sandstorm ambush zombies spawn so lawnmowers kill them all. With the flames gone, bok choy can hit the explorers without dying and protect the 2 lanes without lawnmowers for the victory. Oh, that took a while to figure out. No time for a break though, cause right after we have to fight Zomboss, which gives us our first look at how painful conveyor belt levels are going to be in this challenge. These have set plants that are offered, with each type having a different percentage of appearing on the conveyor belt. We want to see Repeater and bok choy, which have an 18% chance and 12% chance of appearing respectively. To increase our chances of seeing them, we'll constantly be placing and shoveling less valuable plants, since the conveyor belt moves faster the fewer plants are on it. Zomboss summons different zombies depending on the phase he's in, which also changes how often we'll see plant food and what zombie types will be holding it. The first phase has the most plant food, and we usually want to use it on Bonk Choi to clear the newly summoned wave and damage zombies, all while getting plant food back. Hold on to as much plant food as you can, since after the first phase, Gargantuars are constantly being summoned, so we'll be rushing Zomboss down. His charge is usually a good thing for us, since at most we lose 3 plants from it, which can immediately be replaced, while his Gargantuars cannot. If a zombie gets too close, we can use Iceberg Lettuce Plant Food as a panic button and finish the boss and Ancient Egypt with no impossible levels. Are ye ready for pirate seas, matey? First, you gotta answer my pirate-based joke to enter. Why did the pirate walk the plank? To walk into a potato mine, since it can't be placed on the plank, which doesn't change our strategy at all. Honestly, why is this even a mechanic? We finally have access to twin sunflowers now, which actually does change our strategy, as it's the best sun producer for this challenge. It still counts as one plant and produces 100 sun each cycle, which is the most efficient production of any sun producer if we only have 1 or 2 planted. With the spike in difficulty after leaving Ancient Egypt and access and necessity of more expensive plants as the game progresses, we'll almost always start a level by placing a twin sunflower after the first sun falls thanks to sun boost, place potato mine to eventually kill the first zombie, and place another twin sunflower for more sun. We keep replacing the potato mine with new ones after they explode, and once the waves start getting bigger, I can shovel 1 twin sunflower to make room for offensive plants, until finally shoveling the remaining one once I have enough sun to beat the level. As with most sun producing plants, using a valuable plant food for 250 sun isn't worth the opportunity cost of doing almost anything else. But sun production from stalling waves makes this a non-issue and an S tier plant for this challenge. After an easy day 1, we unlock another important plant for this challenge, Kernel Pult. Like the other Pult, this one is almost exclusively used for its plant food, as it also hits every zombie on screen when used. Instead of dealing enough damage to kill basics, it deals a mere 60 damage, but makes up for this by stunning every zombie hit for 8 seconds, which is 2 less than Iceberg's plant food. This wouldn't be overly useful on its own, like with Iceberg, as we don't have attacking plants to complement the freeze. But what's better about Kernel Pult is that the butter counters certain zombie types, such as instantly killing seagull zombies in Pirate Seas, who are a problem as they fly over Iceberg Lettuce and Potato Mine. There's another type we'll need to counter in the next world too. The regular attack is also moderately helpful here. If I get the 25% chance critical hit, which is the same as 1 plant food butter, it will also kill seagull zombies. Due to the nature of RNG, I always want to place a Kernel Pult as soon as I can to maximize my chances of getting a crit. Overall, a solid A tier plant. Then we unlocked Snapdragon, a plant that I thought would be much better in this challenge. His regular attack does enough to kill a basic zombie in front of him as long as he has enough health to stall a bit. But if a basic is above or below him, his attacks only have a roughly 50% chance to kill. This is due to 2 RNG factors, attack speed for plants being semi-random, and zombie walk speed being random. Fun fact about zombie walk speed is that it's randomized each time they're summoned, even though the same play session always spawns them in the same lanes. And that's just basics. Anything with more health isn't ever going to die to a single Snapdragon, and his attack on thawing a frozen zombie just accentuates the problem. This makes him a pretty bad plant for most of the challenge, since he's only good if you spam him, and I kind of cannot do that. At least his plant food is good, as it's basically a cherry bomb hitting a 3x3 area and dealing 1,800 damage. This can clear clumps of high health zombies, which carries me for a couple of levels, but isn't usually worth the plant food, as we'll have better plants with better plant foods as we unlock more. Overall, unfortunately C tier. This works all the way up until day 8, which introduces a new type of level that will likely always result in a nightmare ranking. Gargantuar no lawnmowers, that is also a conveyor belt level, so we'll always be at the mercy of what plants are given to us without the safety net of the best plant in this challenge, lawnmowers. We'll have to perfect our strategy while also getting lucky enough to get the right plants at the right time. Speeding up the conveyor belt is going to be a necessity while making the most of bad plants in this challenge like spikeweed. Before the first flag, I'll mostly use kernel pult and hope for crits so I can place spikeweed under the zombies as soon as I see the butter being fired. Both of these plants have a 24% chance to show up, so I should be able to switch which lane I'm doing this strategy in most of the time. I'll also hold on to any potato mines I get, as they only have a 9% chance to show up and have a limit of 3 on the map and or on the conveyor belt at a time. Snapdragons have a 33% chance to show up, and I'll hold on to a few of them for a specific wave. Before that, I saved my mines specifically for bucketheads who we wouldn't be able to kill efficiently enough without. If I don't get potato mines in time to kill the 2 that get summoned before the first flag, I would just reset. Once swashbucklers spawn, I want to place my snapdragons to kill them, again sometimes needing 2 to kill a single zombie. After the first flag, wait as long as you can to kernel pult plant food so you kill all seagull zombies and stall the newly summoned wave. This guarantees Snapdragon can kill the swashbucklers while the Gargantuar walks up. Once it's close enough, plant food the Snapdragon twice to kill it and a buckethead. I didn't know what was causing this at the time, but if a Gargantuar is 3 lanes away from your house or closer, he doesn't throw his imp, so we don't have to worry about that getting behind us. I place a mine where a cone head with plant food is about to be. After it explodes, I use the plant food on kernel pult to kill the zombies that are about to reach the house. Barrel roller zombies start spawning from waves, and we'll use spikeweeds to destroy the barrels. I lost so many times to a barrel breaking too late and letting the imps inside them through, so try to do this as early as possible. I kernel pult plant food again to clear the seagulls and swashbucklers. This leaves me with enough plant food for the final flag to kill the clumped up zombies and spend the rest on the 2 gargantuars that are thankfully close enough to each other for a single snapdragon to hit both. I still had 1 remaining for kernel pult too, but I didn't even end up needing it. We get our next plant that will be very useful in this world, Spring Bean, right when zombie waves are starting to get bigger. Although Spring Bean is only good in Pirate Seas since it can knock zombies into the water if they're 1 tile away, it's a run saver here. This basically gives me 2 ways to instantly kill zombies, so I can swap between him and potato mines to clear waves that summon multiple at once. The plant food knocks all zombies on screen a tile back, which works just like a normal bounce, so it has the potential to kill most, if not all zombies on screen. I don't think I need to explain why that's good. All in all, an A tier plant that carries most Pirate Seas levels but falls off in all other worlds. On the same level we can start using beans, we're introduced to a zombie type that is particularly threatening for this run, imp cannons. These fire imps every 10 seconds, which have a chance to misfire into the water, but I believe are guaranteed to land at least 2 before exploding and firing multiple imps randomly throughout the lanes. This is really bad for us since it's supposed to be countered by destroying the cannons before this, and we often can't afford the space or sun to do this or protect all the lanes. For now, all I can do is try to save as many lawnmowers as possible, especially ones in lanes that are in the most danger during flags. After a quick minigame that got removed from what I've heard, we unlock Coconut Cannon, which is the most important attacking plant of the run. Right now it's not incredible due to its high cost of 400 sun, even so it ends up being the solution to day 12 through proper micro of its cannon shots. These deal 900 damage to the primary target and 300 in a 3x3 radius, which is still enough to kill most zombie types in Pirate Seas. After shooting, you have to wait 15 seconds before firing again, which means we'll have to decide if the plant is worth keeping dormant for so long, or just shoveling so we can plant something else. This may sound pretty bad, but what makes this plant so good is the low recharge of its seed packet being only 5 seconds for such a powerful shot. Sure, it's a weaker cherry bomb, but in many situations it's enough to clear 2 or 3 lanes of zombies without the 35-second cooldown. The plant food is decent too, which shoots a cannon that drags all zombies in lane with it to the back of the screen before exploding for 1200 damage, including in the lanes above and below it for 2 tiles. It seems pretty strong, but it slows down for each zombie being pushed back, which limits its use a lot since that gives time for zombies in other lanes to get out of range. It also resets his 15-second shot cooldown for some reason, so ultimately it's situational to the point where I'd rather plant food something else but can still be strong in the right situation. After day 12 we unlock the most critical and fun upgrade of the run, Shovel Boost. This makes it so every time we shovel a plant, we get 25% of the sun spent on it back. This isn't a big deal in casual play, but in a challenge where we have to shovel plants to make room for others, it's a game changer. Take Coconut Cannon for example. It costs 400 sun, but now it effectively costs 300, which means we can spam it a lot more. Something you might not expect is that this upgrade makes it so we can actually beat upcoming last stands, since these give us a set amount of sun, which isn't enough without Shovel Boost to beat huge wave after really huge wave of zombies. I'll talk more about this upgrade later, since we get one more Shovel Boost pretty soon. Speaking of sun, next up is an objective that might seem insurmountable at first glance. Produce X amount of sun levels typically require the player to plant many sun producers so they have enough sun before the level ends and the zombies somehow eat your brains because you couldn't pay them off, I guess. But these levels are actually super exploitable, since all you have to do is stall the last zombie until you have enough sun. Sure, it takes 15 minutes, but it's funny. Day 14 is one of the easier last stand levels, but that doesn't make it easy. Coconut Cannons will be MVP, but we can't afford to consistently shovel them for better hits and to ignore the 15-second shot cooldown. We have to place them in lanes that will cleave into ones without a plank so we can kill seagull zombies without needing kernel bulb plant food every time. We still do, but not every time. The barrels dying to lawnmowers don't release imps, so save them until the final flag for the victory in the 3 and only Peter. 3-Peter fires in their lane and adjacent ones like Snapdragon, but unlike Snapdragon, they have enough range to hit zombies no matter how far away they are. That makes 3-Peter's niche in this challenge, their cost to damage ratio being better for many levels where uptime of the multi-lane shots is critical. Their plant food is pretty bad since 30 Ps are shot from each head, but most of them from the top and bottom head completely miss the zombies, so not great. Overall B tier since they're the most consistent multi-lane hitting plant, but that doesn't mean they do enough damage most of the time. There's an objective where we have to kill X amount of zombies in Y amount of time, so it doesn't really change anything other than sometimes I try to kill way faster to spawn another one. But I usually beat this one on accident. After another eventful final zombie stall for sun production, I get an extra seed slot, which is obviously amazing. In this particular challenge, it helps a lot since we already have so many auto-include plants, making space for ones that we need for specific levels pretty tight. But things have been going a little too well for a little too long. It's time for another nightmare level. Day 22 is a last stand that absolutely spams swashbucklers and imp cannons. You're supposed to place a bunch of multi-lane hitting plants like Snapdragon and 3-Peter, or just Spikeweed, like just Spikeweed, but obviously I can't do those here. I mean, I tried, but it doesn't work. Instead, I had to micro my coconut cannons like crazy since the splash damage kills both zombie types. What makes this so frustrating is that we usually don't want a swashbuckler to fall into the water or the imp cannons to misfire, so our cannons have a primary target to hit. But of course, as soon as you want some bad RNG, suddenly the game starts to be nice. We also start with a 3-peater in the middle lane to keep it defended long enough for zombies to start stacking up so the splash can kill them and kill single imps for better coconut cannon shots, since level begins off pretty slow. Once it starts picking up, I shovel Peter for walnuts to line up some cannon hits. They can also stall zombies in front of cannons for enough time for them to recharge, since our sun is very limited here. We'll use our 2 plant foods on Cabbage Bolt, since that kills everything but the cannons, which is good enough to get us to the final wave with all lawnmowers remaining. Don't get too comfortable though, since with imp cannons, like with sandstorms, not all zombies will be on the lawn to die to lawnmowers at the same time. Unfortunately, we have to wait for all cannons to explode imps into multiple lanes, since our shots are always blocked by zombies. We saved as much stun as possible to place down all the coconut cannons we can. Again, firing then shoveling the cannons allows us to place a new one that can be fired instantly, so do that as long as you can to save just enough stun to protect any open lanes. In this case, I used a walnut and spike rock to finally seize the day. Zomboss is slightly easier this time around, since we have a lot of good plants here like Coconut Cannon, Cherry Bomb, and Snapdragon, which will be our best plant food for clearing waves while damaging Zomboss. The only tougher thing here is when he fires imps in random lanes that we'll have to focus on clearing since they land close to the house. Peter does what Peter does and saves the attempt right at the end. Not because I accidentally placed a Snapdragon when I thought I was placing a Coconut Cannon and almost threw. What are you talking about? I was originally going to include Wild West in the first part, but it's a huge difficulty spike in this challenge, so it's going to be longer than the first 2 worlds combined and might end up being the entirety of part 2. Either way, thanks for watching. If you don't want to miss Wild West, consider subscribing.